in 2005 and 6, it was kind of easy. Relatively speaking, this business is always challenging, but it was kind of easy. And then that happened, and like all of a sudden, you just got to, if you're going to make it through, it's dive back in, roll up the sleeves, and get your butt back to work. That's what I did. I don't know, I don't have the full recollection of how I figured it all out now. It was a long time ago, but I realized that there was a huge need for helping people who were in financial distress, short sales, people facing foreclosure. And I largely saved my business by learning how to do short sales and doing a bunch of them.
Today we have Eric Lowry, team lead for the Lowry Team, brokered by EXP Realty. Eric has been selling real estate since 1998, and today he has 12 agents on his team, with 5 more set to join soon. Eric's team is proud to provide the highest level of service to their clients throughout West Central and Southwest Ohio areas. Eric has earned the prestigious EXP Icon Award 3 times running and has achieved Ohio President's Sales Club Award and the Circle of Excellence numerous times. Welcome to the show, Eric Lowry.
Welcome, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Let's do this.
How's it going, man?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, kind of my lead into you, Daniel, is when I met Eric, this was a few years ago, right?
Yep.
At this point?
Yep.
So we have Tom Capuano with Pillar to Post is a really good friend of ours, partner in Real Producers, and then introduced me to Eric. And whenever I talk to people about business, I like to refer to Tom and Eric as being 2 of the most business savvy people in the industry that I've met. And it is just run the right way. When we do panel interviews, we've invited Eric to be on those because the advice that he's given has just been tremendous. And you see the real estate agents taking notes, in the meantime while he's talking. And it's just been a really great, it's been a great value add, not just for the community, but for me in general. Like I've learned a lot through you and just having a simple conversation. So from a personal standpoint, I want to thank you for being on with us today.
Oh, thank you.
So,
thanks for the kind words.
yeah.
We can stop now, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Cut. We're done.
Turn it off.
Yeah. No, I think, obviously we did meet through Tom, and I think of Tom the way you just like
Right.
I've known him forever. Like I said it a couple of times. He's the only home inspector in all my 26 years. I've never recommended anyone but Tom and Pillar to Post.
That's
like
awesome.
he's
Wow.
literally, I can remember it all the way
Yeah.
back in the beginning. And he's just such a good guy, and he's so smart and runs a great business. He is a business guy. I've always respected him a
And
lot
just
for that.
throwing that disclaimer in there, there's 2 other inspectors that you have to recommend as well now that it's state law. But,
I don't know.
Tom's great.
I don't know about that. I recommend Tom.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
3 times.
This isn't being recorded, though, right? No.
Right.
He's the best. They are
Yeah,
the best. Their
that's
inspection
awesome.
company is the best.
That's great. Yeah, and then I met Daniel through Real Producers. Obviously, he's, we're in back-to-back ministries shooting this podcast, so he used to work there, and then ventured off and started this company. It's been really cool to see his growth and his activity. Is pretty stellar when it comes to growth and then being out in front of the realtors. So when he mentioned partnering up and doing this, and I said I don't know anything about video. He was like, "Yeah, we can take care of that."
We got
And I
that
was like,
covered.
that
Yeah.
sounds great. Then
It's a great setup here. It's a great setup here.
it's good that we're all together. It's great that we can all kind of connect and talk about you for a little bit here.
Yeah.
So from the standpoint of how'd you get into this? What were you doing before this? And kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. How did I get in real estate? It was so long ago. I'm not sure I remember. Yeah. I actually do remember. I was in high school, so this was a long way back, and I wanted to get in real estate when I graduated high school.
Really?
And I was at the time while I was in high school, my junior and senior years, I was managing this little convenience store, as I was also in high school, and it was right before graduation. One of my teachers, who I had a lot of respect for, came into the store, and he bought his pack of cigarettes, and he said, "So what are you going to do after you graduate?" And I said, "I'm going to be a real estate agent." And he looked at me and he said, "You can't do that. You're too young. No one would ever buy a house from you." And I listened to him. Like I still think about that, and kind of like I can kind of almost feel it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I listened to him. I stayed in the retail industry, supermarket business for the next would have been, I don't know, gosh, my math is bad, 18 years or something.
Oh, wow.
And, progressed up, ran up that chain, did, keep trying to get promoted and all those things, and did really well. And I never loved it. It was fine. I was getting paid. Like, I got promoted. I moved around the country a couple of times with different companies and all that. And you might have looked at it from the outside and went, wow, that dude's really moved up. He's kind of in the upper echelon in that business a little bit. I never really loved it. And I got a chance to, I was in the last job I had wasn't what was promised, the company I was working with, and they kind of, I don't know, it's water under the bridge a long time ago now, but I saw an opportunity and I got a little severance, not much, but I got a little severance and I immediately ran straight to real estate. Wow. Went to a real estate office to meet with a manager. She said, well, we'd love to have you. Here's what you got to do. You got to get 6 months worth of savings saved up before you can do this, and a bunch of other stuff. And she calls me a couple of days later. She goes, what do you think? I said, I'm doing it. She never asked me if I had the 6 months. Thank God, because I didn't. Was probably never going to have it, right? But I just went full bore, kept the same work ethic I had in retail, which was you work 6 days a week, like 9 hours a day or whatever, literally, suit and tie, go to, and so I just kept that same mindset and work ethic when I came into real estate, did what she told me to do for the first year or two, just basically took her orders, right? They were good. I mean, she had well intention in telling me what to do, but when I think back about it, her name was Judy King, and I wouldn't have made it in real estate without her. Well, there's just no way. You need a mentor when you get in. Like, this business is challenging, especially for someone who's never been in sales before. I was an operations guy, and but that's how I got in it. 18 years too late after high school, but I'm finally here, and it's the best business ever. There's nothing else I would do now.
That's really cool. So thinking back to those high school days, what was it that drew you to real estate, or what was your interest there?
My uncle was a realtor. Okay. And he was a good guy. He was just the best. And I saw him in what he was doing, helping people, and he was very successful. He did a lot of business, and he was really happy in the business. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I just connected with that, and I was like, I want to be a real estate agent. That guy told me, no, you can't do it. There's a moral. There's a story in there somewhere, right? Sure. Don't let people tell you, what you can and can't do. But it worked out. I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think something we like to talk about typically a little later in our segment here is just what past experience, that you had has served you well in real estate. And it sounds like your retail experience really kind of helped, set up a work ethic that really drove success in your real estate career.
Yeah, it did, right? For real. I mean, when I say I brought that work ethic, I did. I would go to that office. This was back in the day when we all went to offices, right? Yeah. And I went there for the first year. Not over exaggerating when I say almost every week, 7 days a week, because I had to. Right. I just had to, because I wasn't going back. Mm-hmm. In my mind, there was no going back to that other end. I wasn't going back to retail, and I had a young family. Mm-hmm. And in real estate, if you don't sell stuff, I don't know if you know this or not, but when you sell stuff, you don't get paid. Right. And so I obsessed over that. I just went to work and just kept going, grinding. Mm-hmm. And I don't work like that now, but I still work a lot, and and that's what I brought from that, along with that's where I think I really got that business mindset of I'm kind of a numbers guy. I have spreadsheets for our business. Like, I know stuff probably too much in terms of some of the numbers and the details, but that's where that was a benefit of being in that business, is I learned the business side of stuff for sure.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. So that transferable quality seems pretty prominent for anybody getting into real estate, because I don't think that it's good for everyone to just get into real estate. Like, I feel like you have to have that entrepreneurial mindset. Like, you have to be willing to say, all right, we have no closings this month. We're not getting paid anything. Let's keep working and not feel sorry for yourself, and then keep pushing for the next month. But how were those first few years for you as you were grinding and just putting that work in?
They're hard. Yeah. They're really hard. Being a new agent in this business is hard, right? It was in 1998 when I started. I don't know. I'm not a new agent now, but I don't think it's easier now being a new agent than it was back then, right? Like
Yeah.
it's clearly different. When I got in, this will freak some people out probably, there wasn't really an internet yet. I mean, the internet existed, but not for real estate. Like there were
Right.
houses online. We still had MLS books. And so it was completely different, but it's still hard and it's still a grind. And it's like, I don't think people realize this. I didn't coming into it probably, but it's like you're starting a business, like
Right.
no different than if you decide to go buy a Subway franchise or a whatever. Like you're starting from scratch, and you think it's going to be okay in real estate because my family members, my friends will all buy or sell with me, and they don't.
Right.
Right? They don't. Some do, but some don't. And it's just it's hard. It's a grind, and you have to have that work ethic. If you're not committed to that, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is.
Well, you mentioned your family. You want to tell us about your family?
Sure. So I'm married to my wife, Lisa. She is the director of operations for the Lowry Team. So we're
nice.
both real estate agents. She's been an agent 1 year less than I have. So she's 25 and a half years in the business, I guess, something like that. She would tell you she got in real estate when she was like, I don't know, 25 plus, let's say 9 or something. Right? I'm sure she was. But we work together. She handles all the administrative, the operation side of our business. I'm more the sales guy, the marketing guy. And it works out good because those aren't necessarily my skill sets. I'm not the most detail oriented person in the world. I can make myself be that, but it's not my zone, if you will. It is hers. We have 2 kids and 3 grandkids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
So that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
In a good way. Grandkids are the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my kids are great, but grandkids are the best thing
Oh,
ever
yeah.
for sure. They are.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a huge sports fan. Football mostly, college and NFL. Kind of obsessed. We're going into football season now. It is my season for sure.
Yeah.
for
Can't wait.
Who are your teams?
Ohio State,
Okay.
number 1.
I see.
Yep.
Got a
Well, both
Comrade
of
over
them,
here.
the people we're interviewing are all Ohio State fans.
Yeah,
So,
been a Buckeye fan my entire life. Obsessed. This is the next year of a national championship. I'm certain of that. You
it
can
better be.
go ahead and just bet your money now.
Mr. Day is going to be on the unemployment line.
It's all going to
For a
be
few
fine.
minutes at
It's all
least.
going to be fine. And a big Bengals fan too,
Nice.
obviously. Yep.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you born and raised in this area?
I was born in Lima, Ohio, which is just a
That's
couple hours, hour and a half north of here, whatever, straight up I-75. I've lived in Ohio almost my entire life. We did move around for a couple of jobs in the mid 90s when I was still in the retail side of things, but came back and
Yeah.
been here ever since. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Are is the rest of your family local as well? Or are they all
Yep.
spread out?
Yep. No,
Nice.
everybody's here. Northern Kentucky and Northern Cincinnati. Yep.
Very nice.
Dive into the business.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's dive into the business, man. So,
Yeah.
so 1998, you grinded. I mean, you've been through. I always like asking, and you and I have talked about this before. Agents who have been in longer than the 2008 kind of debacle, and then honestly, this past few years has been just as hard from a lot of real estate agents' perspective.
Sure.
Where have you found the most challenging times of real estate, and how did you get out of that?
It's a great question. The hardest time for sure was 2008.
Really?
It's hard for me to imagine that. I don't want to jinx anything here, but it's hard for me, knock on wood. It's hard for me to imagine experiencing something like that. I was young. Probably a little bit of it is because I was younger. I was 10 years in then, right? But
Yeah.
but had never seen anything remotely close to that in terms of a downturn. Crash is the word used then.
Right.
We saw the financial markets crashing, banks failing, and all that. And it was kind of one of those things where you go, I don't know what you do here.
Yeah.
Right.
People largely stopped buying houses. All of a sudden, we're faced with people are upside down in the financial, all that. And again, guess what got me out of it or got me through it? Work.
Yeah.
Work hard. All of a
Right.
sudden you had to work harder than you had been. Right. In 2005 and 6, it was kind of easy. Relatively speaking, this business is always challenging, but it was kind of easy. And then that happened, and like all of a sudden, you just got to, if you're going to make it through, it's dive back in,
Yeah.
roll up the sleeves, and get your butt back to work. That's what I did. I don't know, I don't have the full recollection of how I figured it all out now. It was a long time ago, but I realized that there was a huge need for helping people who were in financial distress. Short sales. people facing foreclosure. And I largely saved my business by learning how to do short sales and doing a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the brokerages I was at the time, the leadership there told me not to do them.
Really?
Sometimes we get really good advice in life from people. Sometimes you don't. Got to trust your gut on
Kind of
things.
0 for 2, man, in real estate.
Yeah, I know, right? And I'm like, well, wait, like there's a lot of people that need help. Isn't that what we ultimately do? I've always thought one of the best things about real estate is the way to make a lot of money is to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's no, it doesn't work the other way around. You can't make a lot of money without helping a lot of people. And that's what we do. And there were a lot of people needing that help. They were in trouble. They were going to lose their houses. They were going to, they were in financial distress in a lot of ways. And so I just started doing those, and it kept me selling houses.
Right.
Were they harder deals? My gosh, yes. But that's how you...
Better than no deals.
Way better. And by the way, the people, when I think back about all the transactions I've done over all these years, some of the most appreciative people were those people because you got them out of trouble.
Right.
Yeah. So 2008, a lot of lessons there. How to, short sales. There's a lot of people think we're going back to that kind of thing. I don't think that's true. I think there are people who want to sell us products in the real estate, like teach us how to do short sales or sell us short sale courses or whatever. Like, that's people trying to sell us stuff. There's plenty of that, but people have too much equity in their homes for that to kind of be a big thing.
Right.
But 2008 was the hardest part of anything. And so when I look at what's happened the last 18 months, it's been a challenge. Home sales dramatically lower, interest rates going through the roof, the NAR commission settlement and new rules for working with buyers and all that kind of stuff. And all of that is challenging. All of that is, putting some stress on our careers and our businesses, but it doesn't line up as being after going through 2008, this doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
Like a full market impact as opposed to just adding a little something to your business as far as signing those waivers and everything like that, or the buyer agreements.
Stuff's changed for sure, right? Let's be clear. I hear some people going, nothing's changed. I've heard some brokers say that. I'm like, I think you should probably go back and reread a few things because a lot has changed. This is probably the biggest disruption since the coming of the internet and houses going on there, perhaps.
Sure.
And it just means stuff's changing, and that freaks people out. Like, not everybody loves change. Let's be real, right? And it just means stuff's different now. You have to have contracts with buyers. Well, guess what? Since I got in real estate in 1998, for me to sell a house, I had to have a contract signed. To work with a seller, I had to have a contract signed. Right. It's just like that with buyers now. That's way different. It's not the same. Commission structure of how things are paid is way different. Like, you just have to be open to change and navigate it, figure it out, and keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it require rolling up sleeves and working a little harder? Maybe. Of course it does. But work always works, and you just keep going. Yeah. Some people, by the way, I believe 12 months, 18 months from now, some people won't have navigated that and probably won't be in this business.
Well, when we talked about that, we grabbed coffee last week, and I think one of the striking comparisons are, if you're good at your job and you provide a quality service, you can explain your value a lot easier than somebody who's sold one house and has no experience. It's like, I've been doing this since 1998. I've been through a lot. Here's this. This is why I deserve to be compensated the way I deserve it. And from a top agent perspective, which is where we market the majority of this to, I don't see that changing anybody's business.
No. We talked about that, and we use some names of some people in the marketplace that I'm certain will thrive and keep doing, right? Like, people that are just going to be adaptable and they will change and just keep going. But even for, you say like someone who's been in real estate for that long, I think it still applies even to the new folks that are committed to the industry, that are willing to learn this business and be a market expert and know the areas they work in and how things work and understanding, all the things that go into it, having a real value, those folks will be fine too.
Yeah.
But when there's no value, in the absence, there's an old saying, right? In the absence of value, it always becomes about price. Well, if you don't have any value and if I just meet you, Patrick, and go, hey, you want to buy a house? And you go, well, I'm thinking about it. And I just go, great, I can open doors for you. I'm going to have to have a tough conversation trying to convince you to pay me whatever that fee might be. Sure. Whereas if you come to me and you go, I see you in the marketplace and I know you know what you're doing and on, then largely you're just going to, how does this work, Eric?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
going to sign here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's always, that's an oversimplification for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
But in the absence of value, it's always about price. That's always been true on the listing side. It's true on the buy side. It's true in any business.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
I think agent motivation too, like you talked about wanting to help people, right? Like I think that's key too. Whereas if there's an agent that's getting into the business strictly for the money, they just see, they've got dollar signs in their eyes.
Yep.
That's gonna, they're gonna have a hard time conveying their value because they're not really there to help. They're there to make a paycheck.
Right. Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Eric got into real estate. I thought it was a cool industry. I mean, I wanted to be part of it, and I got in it to make money. Like I'm not.
Well, money's always part of it.
I'm for profit, right?
Of course.
But I'm super clear though. As I said, the only way in this, it's the coolest part of this business is the only way to make a lot of money is to help those people.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that characteristic or that desire or whatever you want to call it, people will see through it over time. You might have a little spurt where you do good just because you worked hard and you prospected a lot, but over time, the repeat and the referral and the people, the recommendations, the reviews, all that stuff comes from taking care of your clients.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about the challenge of 08 and, you got in at 98. So what's happened since 08? And, I assume were you guys just a 2-person team at that point? Now you're pretty large team, or what did that look like?
Actually in 2008, we weren't a team. My wife was in an administrative role for a brokerage. So she was actually an employee of the brokerage working in a relocation department. And so in 2008, it was just Eric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We started, we changed brokerages, and I'm trying to think this through, in October of 2009. And because I did that, her employer decided she wasn't welcome there anymore. So that's kind of when we, at some point that was going to happen anyway. We were going to go back into business together for sure. But we did. And so for a while it was just she and I, and then I don't know the years. I should have, I probably could go back and recollect it. But at some point we had a couple of people join us as agents on our team. And just kind of kept growing from there. And just, there was a point where we decided, to really grow the thing and to do more. That's the point where we scripted out what's our value proposition, what's our mission, our vision, our values, things that businesses do, right? As opposed to just practitioners. Nothing wrong with it, but like businesses have those things and act on them, live them, not just write them, hang them on a wall.
Yeah.
And then we started growing. And to today, where we have agents on our team, we cover, like I said, all of West Central and Southwest Ohio, meaning we have agents as far north as Piqua, a couple agents there. So we operate from there, kind of south to the Ohio River, from the Indiana border to Springfield-ish, kind of as you move east right now. We're in 3 MLSs, so we have different operation than a lot of agents have. But but it's a lot of fun. I love it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So thinking about those things that when you sat down, we're a business now, we have to establish these things. Would you be willing to share some of those things that you decided you wanted to be about?
Sure. Yeah. The 2 things that really are the foundational things that I think about still to this day, we wrote them, I don't know what year it was, but let's say it was 10 years ago or whatever, are our core values and our mission our core values and our value proposition for our agents. Why, ultimately at the end of the day, we ask the question of ourselves. I can still remember doing it. We're in this conference room, big old white Post-it notes, that you can paste on the wall.
Yeah.
And we're writing all over them. And, we just asked, what if someone said, why would you join your team? What would that answer be? And we came up with 6 core pillars that we were like, this is our stuff. This is our jam. This is what we do. Right. It revolved around lead generation. If you're in the sales business, you got to have leads. Right. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a solo practitioner or you're running the biggest mega team in the United States, you need leads. That's how it works. And beyond that, you got to be able to convert those leads. Having a bunch of names is not, I mean, kind of cool and glamorous. It's like likes on Facebook. That
Sure.
doesn't pay many bills, though. You have to turn those people into customers, to clients. So it was lead generation, lead conversion. And then the next biggest thing that we said, the agents, there was a gap for agents, was training. Most brokerages would tell you they have the best training ever, right? And it's largely the same stuff they've been doing for, not taking shots at anybody, but for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And so we set about building a fully customized training program. We bought a learning management software.
Really?
After that, we didn't buy anything. We created it all.
Wow.
So to this day, when you go through our training, it's all, recorded. It's all a course, if you will, multiple modules of a course that you go through and progress to teach you how to be a good real estate agent. It's not just, hey, here's how you fill out a contract.
Right.
Not unimportant, right?
Right.
It's an important part of what we do, and we do that, but there's way more than that. And so the training part for us was a huge gap that we felt we could fill, that we could put our money where our mouth is and go, we can train, as good as anybody. And I think we have a product, a training system now that if I wanted to, I could sell it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Right.
The only way you can get our training, join
Your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
pretty
do
cool.
believe we could sell it. And this week, actually, we're rolling out the biggest addition to it, if you will, that we've done a long time. And it's a AI sales coaching module where we give agents more sales training using AI. You may have heard of that. It's kind of a thing these
Right.
days.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's pretty epic. And I'm pretty excited about the impact it's going to have on our agents as well. But that training was a big piece. It still is. Like today, agents, when I talk to them, they say two things they need: leads and training.
Yeah.
That is a big two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I don't think I've heard of anybody else creating their own
That's pretty sweet.
training.
Yeah. And it was just, I think it's a, it's an opportunity, because I don't know what every company's training looks like, other brokerages, right? I know a lot of it though, right? A lot of it. And I know what it looks like, and I know how old it is and what it does and doesn't do. And we just said, we can do better than that. And so if we provide enough value in our training, we can help more people. Imagine that. And we can sell more houses, we'll make more money.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that like a natural progression when you guys decided to hit that business and then EXP came out? It seemed like it was a good fit for, the direction you guys were going as far as growth and, the ability with the caps not being as high as some of the brokerages and stuff like that. So, agents have more support.
Yep. There's a couple of things to that. It was a long process. I'm a pretty decisive person. It usually doesn't take me long to make a decision, right? If you're selling me something, Patrick, and you're trying to, you lay out, you make your pitch, I literally can almost always, like, it's a yes or a no, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe I'll take a day but I took, Lisa and I did, not Eric, Lisa and I did. We took, when we made the move to EXP, it took us 15 months.
Wow.
From the first time we started interviewing some people. People are always recruiting, right? They're always going, hey, we'd like to talk to you about our blah, blah, blah. It's,
Right.
I'm happy. I don't need to be recruited. But, and what we did was we reached out to, in June of 2018, I think, I'm sure it was June of 2018, we reached out to 4 people and said, hey, we'd like to talk to you. We're considering making a move. One of them was our current broker. We're super open, transparent, like we're evaluating things. And a couple others. At the time, we decided we hadn't figured out what was a good fit.
Right.
We just no connect. Like we didn't go, that's what we got to do. So we just stayed. And then I spoke to my friend, Kevin Kaufman, who is my sponsor at EXP. When you join EXP, you name a sponsor, the person most responsible for you joining EXP. And Kevin had been my coach previously. I've known him for a long time. Him and his buddy, Fred Weaver, run a huge team in Arizona. And so they were friends, mentors. Again, Kevin had been my coach for a while. And Kevin said, you got to look at this thing. They were at EXP. They had changed and moved to EXP. And once he laid it out for me and I truly understood it, not just looked at it, but like listened to him and like we moved within 30 days after that.
Wow.
And it was because of, there's so much alignment in what we were trying to build, like technology, big thing for us. And it's going to be, technology is getting bigger every month in the world, not just in real estate. I just said, we're using AI, right? Like that's a real thing. It's really, a significant thing.
Yeah.
But when I listened to Kevin and finally heard what EXP was all about, like it was almost immediate. We had to make the move. It removed barriers for us geographically.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think that's probably a big benefit for you.
Yeah. Cloud-based brokerages are like the future of this business. Just this week, a report came out from a guy who runs, he's an analytical guy at the University of Colorado, I think. His name is Mike Del Prete. And he published a study maybe it was just yesterday I saw it. The two publicly traded real estate companies that have the biggest cash flow are EXP and Zillow.
Wow.
Most of the others on the graph were under the bar, meaning they were negative cash flow. Yeah, I mean, and that, you go, why is that important? Well, I'm an owner in EXP. Agents are owners there. And so I care about the profitability. I want the stock price to go up.
Right.
And just, it's important you're with a brokerage that's leading the way, not dragging you backwards or holding on for dear life. I mean, it's not my approach in real estate. And I don't want to be in a company that's affiliated that way either.
Sure.
Yeah. It's been a great fit for us. We've been there 4.5 years now, I guess. And never looked back, never questioned it.
That's awesome.
That's great. Advice?
Let's do it.
Advice.
So before we do, we always like to just give a quick shout out to Back to Back Ministries, whose studio we're in here. Super grateful for them allowing us to use this space. So just quickly, Back to Back Ministries is a global nonprofit orphan care organization with their sights set on providing care for today and hope for every tomorrow. From Cincinnati, Ohio to Hyderabad, India, staff teams around the world are stepping into hard stories and choosing to stay. To learn more about the work Back to Back does, how you can get involved, and why a global team won't stop until every child is known and loved, you can visit backtoback.org today. So thank you, Back to Back.
Yeah, appreciate
That's cool.
That. Yeah. It's
These
cool
amazing
space.
microphones, the studio. It's a great fit for us. So
It's amazing.
grateful.
Yeah.
So with that said, we'd love to ask you if you have any advice for either up and coming agents or maybe agents that are just kind of getting into the business. I mean, taking us back to 98, what would you say to 1998, Eric?
Yep, that's a great question. And I'll go back to what when I talked about in my beginning, I had that manager, that mentor that told me, I mean, she basically did, like, here's what you're going to do. She called me kid. She goes, here's what you're going to do, kid, for the next year. And I just largely did it. I didn't question it. I knew she'd been very successful in the business.
Sure.
And I thought, wow, if she's telling me to do it, I'm going to do it because I want to make it. I'm not going back. And so when I talk to new people now, I can't emphasize that enough. Look, the new people that come onto our team, if you will trust that what I'm teaching, training, and coaching you to do, and just do it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
The problem new agents get too many times is the creativity part. They want to be, they were on YouTube and saw some person that they perceived maybe as knowledgeable or successful talking about some, I don't know, new thing, some new widget, some new social media to do this or that or whatever. And I'm not saying none of that can't work,
Right.
but I would say to a new person, at the minimum, find a mentor that you is legit, that's succeeded in this business, and listen to them. Do what they say. If it were me going back to 1998, there weren't teams back then. But if there had been, I would like to think I would have been smart enough that I would have gotten on a team, learned the business. You have to stay on a team forever.
Right.
We have people that come on our team, do really well, and then go on their own. I totally understand that's going to be part of it for some people.
Right.
And I would find a team today in 2024, 2025, I'd get on a team and learn the business, learn the systems, learn how it works. And then you might find it's awesome. It's perfect for you. Or you might find you grew and now you're ready to go to the next level, and that means go on your own and do that. But that's my number one advice would be, you got to find somebody.
Right.
If you want to go pay a coach, cool. Usually new people in the business aren't looking to spend that kind of money to actually hire a coach. So go find a mentor. There's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of great people in this industry.
Yeah, that's great advice.
That's awesome. What advice would you give, buyers right now? Because I find that it's very much still a seller's market. When you talked last week, you're like, inventory is up 40% from this time last year, but it's still historically down, like,
Yep.
so from a buyer's perspective, what kind of advice would you give somebody in this current market?
Good question. So yeah, it is. I mean, the inventory's up, and that sounds like amazing.
Yeah.
Like you go,
When you said that, I was so pumped. I was like,
40%.
no kidding, right? You're like, pump the brakes, Pat.
Yeah, we were like, it was so low that 40% sounds like, oh, there must be a glut of inventory, and there's not. There's way more than there was, right? Like, it's good. We need that. We need more homes to sell in the market to satisfy the buyer demand, and I think that buyer demand's going to increase again as interest rates start to come down.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of pent up demand there that we're going to see. We should see. Hopefully, we see. For buyers, like, you got to get connected with a good agent. Like, there's. I hate to use the distinction of new people or versus 26 years in the business people or whatever. That's not what I mean, but you got to find a good agent. New agents can be really good, but you've got to find a good one, and that means interviewing them. And homeowners almost always these days, if you're gonna sell your house, like you're gonna, maybe you got a buddy in the business, I don't know, but you probably interview a couple of people, right? You're gonna interview from so-and-so brokerage and this brokerage, that maybe the postcard came in the mail and you choose them, but you're going to interview a few people.
Right.
Buyers, they're not conditioned or haven't always done that so much. It's always, oh, I met Patrick and he was really nice, so I'm going to work with him. Well, Patrick's probably nice, but maybe he has no clue about how to fill out a contract.
Right.
Maybe he's a terrible negotiator.
This is my second day in the industry.
Yes, and he's
you
never
for
negotiated
calling.
a thing in his life.
Yeah.
He can't even get to go to the store with his returns, and they
Yeah.
won't give him his money back. He's that bad.
But sounds good. We'll see you.
Yeah, so you got. So for a buyer, it's a great question. I think the number one thing would be to select an agent that's equipped to navigate today's market, because it is still low inventory in many areas, and there's a lot of negotiation, more than ever before, with the changes in broker compensation and all that. You've got to be a better negotiator all the time. Real estate agents do. And so for buyers, it'd be make sure you're working with somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's fantastic.
Is there anything else you'd like to chat about, or you want to close out?
No, I appreciate you guys doing this. I love this podcast. I wasn't paying attention to it as much.
Yeah.
Shame on me. But as Patrick asked me to come on, I started to, I'm like, dang, you guys, this is cool. Like, you got some people on here, and
Well, that's what
I've
I think
enjoyed
is,
the episodes that I've been able to catch up on already.
that's what's been really cool about doing this, is like targeting the higher real estate agents, or the ones that have been established for a long time. Getting advice from somebody like yourself, and then learning from you and learning from Scott Euler and Megan Stacy and all these people who have all of these different perspectives to get from point A to point B.
Right.
And there's no wrong way to do it.
Nope.
But like I know one other agent who has training probably comparable to yours, and it's done completely different, so like, but the fact that you offer something like that for agents, especially newer agents, like the way you talked about getting on board with somebody, that's half the battle. How do I lead gen? Like, they don't teach you that in real estate school.
No, they do not.
It's like,
No, they do not.
so
Nope,
but
they
yeah,
don't.
but we appreciate you coming on, man. And it's our absolute pleasure. Like I said, I've always enjoyed following you and seeing you. When stuff happens, I see your videos out there, and you're trying to educate not just your agents but everybody. Like, it's so when Eric's out there promoting events, he always texts me. He's like, dude, this is for everybody. If anybody wants to come, he's like, it's not a recruitment tool. He's like, this is a big change. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think for you to lead the way in that manner too, I think that opens a lot of the eyes that, the collaboration is really key in building those quality relationships with other agents.
Yeah,
So,
there's more than enough business
yeah.
for all of us that are committed to this business.
Yeah.
Right. There's not enough for everybody. There's a lot. We have in almost every area of the country, including Cincinnati, including Dayton. There's more agents than there's enough business for everybody. Right. But for the good people, the people that are committed to helping people, doing this business the right way, doing it at a high level, there's enough business for us. Like, there's not, I never wake up one day and go, gosh, I can't share something that I do on my listing with someone that asks or whatever, because like, it's just not a good way to look at this thing.
Right.
There's way more than enough for all of us. And so
Awesome.
the more we do of that kind of collaboration and training, it just makes the business better. It makes the industry better.
Yeah.
It makes the perception of real estate agents better.
Yeah.
It's an important thing, and I think that the next 18 months, the perception of real estate agents is going to be much higher because of the level of professionalism that's being required. You got to keep raising your game.
Yeah.
By the way, which is one of the most fun parts for me too, is I'm always learning. Yeah, I'm developing training for my team and stuff, but I'm in constant pursuit of Eric being better too, and it's a lot of fun doing that.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, man.
Absolutely.
Thank
being
you.
on.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening to the Cincinnati Real Producers Podcast, powered by Nextdoor Photos. We do this every week, so be sure to subscribe so you can follow along. If you liked our conversation, leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts.